Hello and welcome back to the FPL fan show. It's been another bonkers game week. Nacho, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. It is good to be back and preparing ourselves for game week 28. And it's been an even better game week after what we experienced over the weekend with obviously the Chelsea Everton derby. So, do you want to inform everybody how that went?
Do I want to inform everyone how that went? Let's think about that, Nacho. No, I do not. Oh, for God's sake.
Bring about
Right. If
the true.
everyone in the
Yeah,
chat, can you give Nacho as much crap as possible tonight? That'd be lovely. Disgusting. Disgusting. You lost to us early in the season, so I don't know what you're going on about.
yeah, I know. No, I had to bring that one out early doors just to kind of get it in there. We can move on now.
Well, the chat are loving it. Tips are saying, yes, Nacho, Chelsea. Tips, I thought we were friends. That's it. But yeah,
Tips a fellow supporter.
I
Good
know.
taste.
But it's been a big week for FPL, and we'll be coming on to Chelsea assets later because they're looking like some seriously good options, aren't they, for the run-in?
Yeah. I'm getting excited a little bit now. Still a lot of rotation problems, but some decent priced assets for sure.
Thing is, Nacho, Chelsea may have won, but Flawless Sage says he likes my beard. Thank you. So I'll take Everton may have lost, but I'll take that.
Well, I've got the Ant A in the chat. Chelsea rent boy. Oh,
It starts here, mate.
it does start.
Everyone on the chat, don't forget, obviously, whenever Nacho says the words, for me personally, have a drink. It could be water, cup of tea, or alcohol. Have a drink. Let's rip Nacho. Anyway, let's get all out of the way. How's your FPL game week been, Nacho?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been too bad. It's been a difficult game week for some people. I think really a lot of anticipation on kind of the typical double game week that we had with Man City, but all in all, it actually proved out to be an okay game week.
I disagree. Let's get on to my team and see how I got on. Okay, so I scored, I think, 58 points this week. And do you know what? I was about 40, 50k a few weeks ago. I'm down to about 99k now.
Okay.
And things are just not happening, not going right. And I want to know what other people in the chat think. But I feel like this happens every season. I feel like with the blanks coming up, I'm prioritizing those players that are playing in 29. But I do think it's affecting my team. And I think that's what's kind of put me down the ranks a little bit. But let's talk about some of the players. I mean, again, I think I've been unlucky here. I mean, Gundogan captain. I mean, I'm happy with 20 points. Kane obviously really happy with. Now, the big issue I had, Nacho, is on the last stream. Do you remember this discussion we had? And I said to you, Nacho, I
Oh
said,
no,
what do
I
you
know
think
it's
I
good.
should do, mate? Do you think I should bring in Martinez for Pope, which I was kind of thinking, or shall I just do Son to Rafinha? And you were like, no, mate, Son, bring Son in for, no, Son for Fernandez. You were like, bring Son in for Fernandez. Much better move. Well, it didn't go bloody well, mate, did it? So what were you telling me that for?
Like I said to you, mate, I'm here to have a kind of like a general conversation with you. Really, the end goal is for me to beat you. So I don't know why you're listening to me in the first place, to be honest with you. But now, mate, I think end of the day, long term, this is going to be a good move for you. So don't get your head too far down. But yeah, I'm just had a little grin on my face after that one. I can't lie.
Oh, I'm glad. As if Chelsea beating Everton wasn't enough. Okay, all right. um, but right, the big issue. Let's tackle one of the big issues of the week. Okay, Man City double defense. Right, it could not have gone much worse for me as a Cancelo and
Oh,
Stones owner.
just seen that. Jeez.
Yeah, the problem is they're literally getting rotated every game. Okay, that's the first problem. The second problem is because of the rotation, they just don't look as good defensively. When they were playing that same backline every week, they look solid. But, they're conceding quite a lot now. So, I don't know, what's your thoughts on the Man City defence?
Yeah, first and foremost, that is disgusting, mate. 2-1 pointers in that
Oh,
side
I
of
know.
it. But yeah, it's such a tricky one right now because Man City defense double up was just the most logical move. There was so much value in there. We had Diaz, Stones at 5 million, obviously Cancelo basically playing as a centre midfielder at some points, which was obviously just unbelievable value in the Pep team. But I do think that right now it is an opportunity for managers, especially if they're wildcarding in game week 30, 31, to kind of veer away from the strategy of two defenders, one offensive asset. And I think really for those managers who are looking at really climbing the ranks and possibly in a rank that they're not happy with right now, I think Man City offers some really good value in the midfield areas to kind of target. And the one problem with this, of course, is rotation. But we saw it in this game against Southampton. The likes of Mahrez, Foden, FPL ceiling's so high on these players, but you almost have to accept that a 20-point haul might actually come over 3 games as opposed to 1 because of the way they get rotated, really. So, for example, Mahrez this game week, you wouldn't put it past Pep resting him next game, would you? So I do really like the strategy of targeting these budget, let's say mid-price midfielders.
Yeah, I mean, FPL Focal is saying in the chat, it's very unlucky. Diaz and Edison, the only realistic options of defence. And I think I agree with that. I think if you are going to go with City defence, I think those are the only 2 you can pick from this point onwards. I know it's only 1 game week, but it kind of suggests that going big in midfield with Gundogan and De Bruyne is the way forward. I mean, a lot of people might be saying, do I go for De Bruyne or Gundogan? I think that's the wrong question. It's you go for both. It's then what asset you pick for the third player. Gundogan is so cheap. It shouldn't be a question of which. You have Gundogan because he's just exceptional value at the price he is. De Bruyne, I mean, he is a fantastic player, and I might have skimmed him a few harsh words recently, but he proved, didn't he? He was arguably the best player in that game, and he only played 70 minutes. So I think that is a good strategy going forward, going big with the City mids, and then having one more, maybe a Diaz or Edison as well. Looking at the rest of the team, your man Reguilon didn't do. I mean, that Palace just had that one kind of cross. They played okay, but I was a bit annoyed with that because Spurs played really well. And we're going to come on to, I think, Bale and Tottenham as a whole a bit later in the hot topics, aren't we? But yeah, 58 points. I mean, all right. Tell me about Leeds' assets. They've dropped off. I did say, didn't I? I said months ago Leeds will have a bit of a drop off later in the season. Was I wrong, Nacho?
I think what we're gonna have to do here, guys, in the chat, you have to back me up here. Like, we're gonna have to just take crops of every kind of quote that we've made, and then anytime any of them come to fruition, we can just quickly throw them in and we can sound like genies then. So, yeah, I think. But I do remember you saying that, and you got a lot of stick.
Yeah.
So
I did.
I think it is slowly coming to fruition. But yeah, I think Leeds' assets right now, I think it's a perfect case right now where, of course, their stats and actual output is kind of not dropped off a cliff, but isn't nowhere near the kind of like free scoring team that we had at the start of the season. But I really don't think there's any need to panic. And the reason being is because of the blank game week 29, really. If you own Leeds assets, you're going to be holding going through. So you have 2 game weeks really to really assess what position they're in. I think especially in this blank game week 29, just owning players is enough, really. I think there's going to be a lot of teams out there that might only have 5 or 6 players. So you owning players is enough of a, advantage as it is.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so yeah, 58 points and kind of, another red arrow. I'm quite looking forward to getting 29 out of the way, to be honest, and I think I'm going to have a good end to the season. But 99k, it's good position to be at this point in the season. So should we look at how you got on?
Yes. Let's have a look at the infamous team of mine.
Talk us through it then. Tell us how you did.
Yeah, so 62 points. That's left me with an overall rank of 21k. So I think about a 6 or 7k red arrow, which, to be honest, I've kind of been hovering around 10 to 20k for the last probably 6 or 7 game weeks now, which, to be honest, I'm not complaining at all. It's such a competitive competition this year, isn't it, really? So anything around that sort of region I'm totally content with. But of course, I want to get back into that 10k. And how the hell am I going to get back into the 10k with Trent and Salah in my team? Because, man, so that's about 20 million of my team. So a fifth of my budget is on these 2 players, and I'm just scared to click on Trent Alexander's returns this season because, he has absolutely destroyed me this season. I'm just kind of waiting for him to regain that form, but it's just not coming, mate, at all.
No, it's Liverpool. I mean, I think Liverpool assets are as a whole are just a sell, aren't they, at the moment? I mean, we'll come on to Salah, but the rest of them, it's not great. I mean, you can look at Jota, maybe, I think, but yeah, there's not enough. They're not right. There's something really not right there. And defensively, it's just an absolute no-go. I mean,
yeah, I think they've done well in Champions League, of course, but they've had these kind of moments where they've done well, and we kind of think they're going to be finding that form, and it just hasn't really come to fruition so far this season. So yeah, I'm totally in the position where definitely wouldn't be buying in. I think there's obviously maybe one asset that we will talk about in a bit later who could be on the radar. But yeah, just looking at my team, really, I made the same move as you, mate. The glorious Fernandez to Son move, which of course
Oh, I know.
bit us in the ass. I think you were the one who recommended that move, mate. So I'm going to blame you on that one.
You don't even go there. You've got a new puppy and you're giving it the bigger now.
I was going to say these bags, Jesus,
Unbelievable. You think you'd have a child or something?
feels like it.
I know.
Feel like it, but no, I like the way my team's set up right now. Going forward for the strategy of game week 29, I like having the double Spurs and obviously Harry Kane doing Harry Kane things. Really was
fantastic. Do you know what? He's looking good. I said in the week, I said, who's the player who thinks is going to score the most points from now to the end of the season? And someone asked me on Twitter actually about this, and I said Harry Kane. It's got to be. I just think he's going after that golden boot. Spurs are chasing, Europa and Champions League, and he looks good. He looks like he's found his eye again. In the last few games he's been a bit off it, but I thought in this game he looked really good. So I think he's an absolute must-have in FPL at the moment.
Yeah, he feels like one of them players that a lot of people do own, but if you don't, he's got to be your number one target for game week 29.
I do have to address something very serious, and Zaki has actually brought it to my attention in the chat, Nacho. He said that you did say that they could all see the puppy last week. So,
oh my God, I did, yes.
Where the hell is the puppy? So, just to reference for everyone else, he's saying later on, because he'll be in trouble with his missus if he goes and picks up the puppy. So, if you don't get that puppy, they are going to be fuming. So you better get that bloody puppy later, mate, because they need to see it, all right?
I was going to say, if the puppy gets us, likes in this video, then I am keen.
Okay, if Nacho brings on the puppy, everyone, you better give it a like later and subscribe. All right. Okay, but yeah, on the whole, are you feeling more confident for next week? Do you think? We'll come on to your team in a bit, but how are you feeling at the minute? It's stuck around 20k. Is there any thoughts you have about it?
No, very happy. I think the way I've been building my squad's obviously for the game week 29 blank. So got my Villa assets, got Leeds assets and Spurs assets, which were kind of the main priority areas. And yeah, as I said, we'll kind of talk about previewing our teams going forward and kind of the areas to target. But one thing I do want to say, and I noticed on Twitter, I'm still in the cup.
Wow.
Still in the
FPL Cup. That's unbelievable.
So, I don't know what the prizes are. If you guys know in the chat, let me know. But yeah, still in the cup.
I'm just happy we're both still in the 100k. I'm only there by about 600 places, but we're still there, Nacho. So, All right. So, shall we talk about the hot topics of the week, and then we'll go on to the kind of our teams, and then we'll do a Q&A after that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, the first hot topic, and a lot of people are saying in the chat about it, is Salah. Is it time to sell? Right. What's your first thoughts?
Well, yeah, okay. So I am, of course, a Salah owner right now, and it's such a difficult one, really, right now, because obviously I'm just living in the past, to be honest with Salah. I've been so used to any time he has a home game against any team in the bottom 12, it's an automatic captaincy, no considerations whatsoever. And for me not to even consider putting the captaincy on him in the last probably 10 game weeks is an absolute farce. And I do think that it is kind of making me sway towards selling him. However, on the other side, I do think that it's one game week, really. Then we have the game week 29 blank. So I think it really depends on what kind of team you currently have. So, for example, Javon has just said Salah back to Bruno. Now, yeah, I think that is a solid move, possibly, for this game week. But for those who are building a game week 29 squad, I think that move's a little bit counter. It isn't necessarily the best move because you want to be targeting players with both game weeks.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think with Salah, he's not going to be awful. He'll still tick over. I think the problem is that he's not going to be as good as what we expect, and he's not going to give enough for the price he is. Liverpool's fixture run for the last few games is all right. So I still think he can do okay. But I guess the question will be, does Jota provide better value? That's the thing.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about Salah or Fernandez, I definitely think Fernandez is much, much better. I think he's so much more consistent. He scores pretty much every game. Salah is not that. Let's not beat around the bush. He's not that right now. John in the chat was saying, sell Salah and get Kane. If you can't get Kane any other way, then yes, sell Salah. But I'm not in a rush to sell Salah at the moment, I have to be honest. I think if you have him, I think he's a keep, especially for this next game. Liverpool have got to get better at some point. They have to, surely, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, yeah.
Yeah.
The way I'm looking at it right now, I think with those in the chat who have got a wild card coming up in game week 30 or 31, I really think it's the perfect opportunity to hold Salah for one more game week, give Jota a bit more time just to get a bit of fitness and kind of see where he plays in this side. Blank game week 29, and then you kind of almost half your price going from Salah to Jota, and you've already opened up 6 million to go into your squad for your wildcard team in game week 30, 31.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so the next hot topic. So Jevon in the chat is actually saying he's currently on 10 players for the blank. How many players do you think is an acceptable number to have for the blank game week in the next game week coming?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that like planning ahead is going to give you so much. You're just going to reap the rewards going forward. But I do think that if you have 8 players, that's still solid. I think it really depends on what kind of players you have, and I think it's important to really target them Spurs assets right now and Leeds and Villa. But I think eight's a solid pick, and obviously anything above that is solid. I think the problem with it, where everybody kind of in the FPL Twitter sphere, YouTube, you kind of think that everybody has players for this game week, but you have to remember it's such a diverse game that, you know, although it seems like everybody's got 11 players, it really isn't the case, and the people who haven't planned ahead are going to be kind of going into game week 29 clicking on their team and being like, whoa, why is no one playing? So yeah, don't panic. I think 8 players is solid, but really I think a point set, even a -4 to bring in a player, isn't the worst move.
Yeah, I mean, we're both kind of against hits, but I think when it comes to a blank game week, you can take 1 or 2 at least. You know, I think the best strategy with the blank is kind of pick those players who are the most highly owned, because they're the ones, if they do well, that's what's really going to kill you and hurt you. You know, It's not the kind of like less than 10% owned. It's the kind of the Harry Kanes, maybe the Sons, Bale, Bamford, Rafinha. I think get your core, and as long as you've got the core, you're okay. I mean, we'll talk probably next week about who are those players to go for, who are the best players for 29. But I think, try and get at least 8 or 9. I think I'm going to have 11, but obviously if I planned for that and suffered, so hopefully it pays off a little bit. Okay, so the next hot topic of the week, Gareth Bale. He smashed it yet again. Is it time to buy Gareth Bale?
Wow, yeah. So I kind of covered this. Well, I didn't cover it, but I mentioned this on Monday's live stream where you ditched me and I was on my own, mate. But I'm not going to hold you to that. But the
damn right.
Yeah, I was a firm believer of Son over Bale, and I'm still sticking to that. I still think if I had to pick one for the next 3 game weeks, I would go Son. I think just minutes are guaranteed. I know Bale is obviously starting games now, but I still think that he's very susceptible to coming off around the 70-minute mark, whereas Son's just kind of like a guaranteed 90 minutes. So I would still go for Son, but really, I'm seriously considering a triple up on Spurs. And I think if you are going for that wildcard strategy in game week 30, I think Bale is the absolute perfect differential. If you're dead ending your team around that period, I think he's an excellent option to bring in. And his stats are slowly starting to suggest that. I was a bit and ahhing about him underlying stats wise. I think his output was way ahead of what he was actually doing, but against Palace he was really good. He had a really good underlying stats, and for me that kind of pointed towards him being an excellent option for game week 29. I don't know what your thoughts are, mate, if you're Camp Bale.
Well, I mean, I was Camp Son before, and I think I still am, only for the reasons that you said. I think when I pick an FPL asset, I want to know that they're going to play the most minutes. Obviously, the more minutes they play, the more likely they are to score. So for that reason, I think I would still pick Son over Bale. I just don't like Bale coming off on 70 minutes every game and the constant rotation risk. But he is cheaper, so he has that. And
good point by Addy saying he's been benched tonight for the Europa League. So
that's a big point. I mean that does help Bale a lot actually. But yeah, I think the thing is, teams are going to clock on to Bale now. Do you know what I mean? We have this all the time. People are realising that he's getting into the box now. He's on the right. He's pushing it. They're going to realise, and they are going to start marking him. Whereas before, I think it was just Son and Kane, and that's what gave Bale the free space. So he's definitely a good option. And honestly, if you've only got 2, say if you've got Son or Kane anyway, I wouldn't be afraid to triple up on the Spurs attack right now. I really wouldn't.
No,
I totally agree. They're looking good. All right, so another hot topic, and it's something that Thomas says in the chat. He says, are we over-fixated on the blank and overlooking Chelsea assets this week? Well, do you know what? I think we are a little bit over-fixated on the blank, and it's something I fall for every year. The problem is I hate the idea of going into that 29 with like 6 or 7 players. I want 11 players playing. I don't want to fall too far back. But yeah, Chelsea assets, wow, looking good. I mean, you tell me your thoughts first and I'll say mine. Go on, what do you think?
Yeah. I think firstly, obviously, the conversation about you're kind of going through a few weeks of pain in the lead up to game week 29. I think that's kind of understandable, really, because what you're doing is you're kind of moving away from popular assets to kind of bring in these game week 29 assets. So I think it's only natural to go through maybe 1 to 2 game weeks of pain, but I think there's real benefit in your planning. So don't get yourself down, mate, because I think that's it's still a solid move, and I think when it comes to game week 29, you'll be happy. So
I think so.
No, I think you'll be happy going forward for sure. But yeah, of course, the mighty Chelsea. Everything's bloody sweet right now, isn't it?
It's
so good.
He's doing a very good job, Tuchel, I have to say.
Yeah, he's doing such a good job. And what he's doing really well is he's just so flexible in his approach. So he really isn't afraid. He's got no fear right now, which is kind of the great thing about him is if he sees something in a team, he's willing to bring out a player who has been performing well or kind of rotate his team. So he's very flexible. That isn't good for FPL though, and that is my one worry right now for those who are kind of targeting Chelsea assets. We saw a lot of people talk about Rudiger and Mason Mount as the two absolute stonewalls in the side, and then we come up into game week 27 and both are benched. Now, I wouldn't read too much into that. First and foremost, for those who are kind of worried, I think Rudiger is still an excellent option. I think some people were talking about Zuma coming in because of his aerial presence to counteract Calvert-Lewin. Not sure if that was 100% the case, but it's a solid point. And Mason Mount, again, has done absolutely nothing to justify him being benched going forward. I think that was probably just more of a rest kind of situation because he exerts so much on that pitch. I think a lot of people are probably going to be eyes are pointing towards Havertz. And that guy's finally woken up from his hibernation, it seems.
Yeah, doing better. I mean, he is young, isn't he? I think Chelsea, I mean, you're kind of right. I mean, obviously, Azpilicueta he's played every game. He's played 9 out of 9 games in the Tuchel, so obviously he's looking good. But he's like 5.7 million. That's a lot of money. Okay, I still think Rudiger is a really good option because I think for 4.6 million, if he misses 1 game out of 8 or 9, that's absolutely fine by me. I think that's really good value. I think Mason Mount is the most interesting because I think he's so important to the way that Chelsea play, and I feel like they're building that team around him. Some set pieces, attacking. I think if you're looking for a differential for the end of the season, I think Mason Mount could be a really, really good option. Alonso is one to monitor, but with Chilwell there, I don't know. I think with Chelsea, it is the perfect situation for game week 31 wildcarders because
that's exactly it.
You've got a couple more games to kind of really find out what's going on, and I think I might have at least one. I'll probably have Rudiger, but I may have like a Mount or maybe an extra Chelsea defender because that defense the stats are looking really good, aren't they? They're up there with City defensively. So
yeah. I think that's exactly it. Even Mendy in goal is a decent option. But I think game week 30 onwards with their West Brom at home fixture, at the end of the season, they pose some really, really good assets. And there's a lot of talk here about Thomas saying a crazy Marcus Alonso captaincy punt. And again, wouldn't put people off it, but just be aware that there is a lot of rotation at Chelsea right now where he's kind of understanding his best team in certain situations. So if you do go for that, just be conscious that you could get a 0-pointer there. Yeah. And Javon's asked about Azpilicueta or Rudiger. Well, I think we covered that. I think Rudiger is the better pick just because Azpilicueta early on in the season was getting a few attacking returns, but don't expect that all the time. I think Rudiger is the better pick. £1 million less. It kind of just says it for itself.
Definitely, mate. So Michael and Nuclear Atoms were asking about Aubameyang. So Aubameyang's a very interesting one, isn't it? Because we came to this season thinking he'd be fantastic as a midfielder now. He's going to get the extra points for a goal. And Arsenal over the last few weeks have started turning it around a little bit, I would say. Now, obviously, I think he scored, didn't he, against Burnley at the weekend. But I have to be honest, yes, he's an intriguing option. And Arsenal have a really good run of fixtures for the end of the season. Okay, so they have got the Europa League. But I feel like Aubameyang, I just need to see a little bit more. Now, it is worth saying he is playing as the striker and he's got Saka and Smith Rowe behind. I like Saka, by the way. I think for the price he's really good. And I think next season, he'll push on and do even better. So Saka is a nice option, again, if you're looking for a differential or a player for 29. Aubameyang, I just haven't seen enough yet. What do you think?
Yeah, exact same boat, mate. I think this is a perfect example of understanding kind of value within players. So I kind of look at Arsenal. I kind of consider it Aubameyang or Saka. And if you said to me, so Saka's half price of Aubameyang, is Aubameyang showing anything to suggest that he's justifying double the price of Saka? And for me, that argument is no. So I think there are so many good assets right now who are kind of half the price of their counterparts. So I'm looking at Liverpool. We've got Salah and Jota. Is Salah going to be outputting twice that of Jota when we're looking at FPL value? I wouldn't think so. Also looking at Man City, we've got Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan, basically half the price there. So I think Arsenal's a perfect example of that. And really, if you said to me Saka or Aubameyang, I would need to see last season's Aubameyang and then some for me to justify that move. So I agree. Game week 29 as a crazy punt on Aubameyang, you can't like go too far wrong with that kind of differential. But looking at their fixtures going forward, I'd prefer Saka, money in the bank, and invest that elsewhere.
Okay. Next and final hot topic is West Ham. So West Ham, what a job David Moyes is doing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Got close to manager of the year.
I think he is manager of the year, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
So let's just talk about some of their assets in a minute. I think, do you know what, the two that stand out, let's talk about them. I think Antonio has had a little bit of a drop off. Okay, I'm going to say that first. He's a good option and he'll get a couple of goals, but he's something not quite right there. I think the two that I would be looking at from West Ham would be, the first would be Lingard. Now, it is worth saying, now he can't play this game, can he? Because it's against his parent club, Man United. So there's no point really in bringing him in this week. I think you just do it in 29. But he's looking great. He is looking really, really good. He's he's a confidence player, isn't he? I think, and he's thriving right now. You know, he's getting in the box, shooting a lot. That's what you want for an FPL asset. So, yeah. What's your thoughts on Lingard?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I think it'd be good if you could show some of his celebrations, mate. That'd be quite good.
Mate, I haven't had enough beer to do that. Jesus, God.
Right, if I had the room, if I wasn't just this box, I'd be all over it. But I'm stuck, obviously. So
well, you look like Peter Crouch, so that's about it.
I was going to say,
and Nacho Monreal,
just got the robot.
yeah, exactly.
No, I think Lingard's a solid option. About 6 million, I think he's a good pick. But yeah, West Ham assets don't thrill me. And so looking at their fixtures, Man United away, Arsenal at home, Wolves away, Leicester at home, yeah, they have some decent assets, and I think Antonio could score against anybody. He's kind of proved that, but I really don't think I would necessarily jump towards West Ham assets. I think, firstly, there are better game week 29 options. I rate Arsenal's defence, and I think like the likes of Leeds, Aston Villa are better picks. But I do think for the back end of the season, West Ham should be considerations. And if you're looking for a cheap midfield option, then Lingard's kind of ticking all them boxes right now. Minutes, underlying stats and actual output and penalties now. Whether he's actually going to stay on them or not, I'm not sure. But
yeah, I mean the other player I like, and AD in the chat has actually said it, it's Cresswell. Cresswell has gone completely under the radar this year. He's like the top scoring defender, and yet none of us have picked him. I mean, what's going on there? I mean, he is so attacking, and his crossing is really very good. So I think Cresswell is definitely one to consider. Do you know what thought I had actually? And someone asked, I think on Twitter, they talked about players from 31 or for the end of the season. I actually think the value is really in defence again. There's so many defenders I want. Like Rudiger, Luke Shaw, Cresswell, maybe one City defender. There's loads. Does that strike you the same or?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think again, for those who are wildcarding in the back end of the season, I think you could really put together a brilliant defence on a budget option, and then really invest that money into the big hitters in the forward line and midfielders. So I think we've been spoilt for choice this season in forward line and midfield as well as the defence. And yeah, I agree. I think there's some real good picks there right now in the defensive options.
Definitely. All right, so should we reveal our teams for this game week, and then we'll do a Q&A for everyone afterwards?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so
I want to see how you are planning on redeeming yourself.
I'm coming for you, Nacho. I'm coming, mate. Don't you worry about it. Okay, so I have already made a transfer. All right, I'm not one for early transfers, but I could not deal with the pain any longer. Right, I have bought in Emi Martinez. The man has killed me week after week after week. I mean, all right, I'm going to not be bitter. What a fantastic goalkeeper he is.
Yeah.
He has won or saved, Aston Villa so many points. I do understand how we're only just finding out about him properly this year. I know he's on the Arsenal bench for years, but what a goalkeeper he
Yeah.
is. What do you think?
Yeah, he's an absolute top goalkeeper, isn't he? I think we saw him in the cup where he played against
That's
Chelsea, or
right.
I can't remember who it was. He was unbelievable, and you kind of think to yourself, who is in the coaching staff right now not seeing this guy, because he has done so well, probably up there with the Player of the Year. He won't win it, obviously, because they never get the credit they deserve, but
No.
he's absolute top signing this season. But yeah, I agree with your move there, mate. You should have done it last week. I think that would have
Oh,
been a
well,
real
you should
solid
have
move
told
for
me
you.
that,
But
shouldn't you?
no, but I think, especially because you haven't got a Villa defence right now, I think that's where probably your panic has come from. I think
Yeah.
you're seeing all these Villa defenders keep clean sheets, Martinez keep them, and I think really, if you had a target in your team, maybe then you wouldn't necessarily be rushing to bringing in Martinez. But I think because you haven't covered that basis, that's a solid move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to move, and it's nice to finally get him. I do have a lot of worries for this game week, though, I'll be honest. The first worry I have is obviously, I've got double leads against Chelsea, who defensively look very good. I've got triple Spurs, which is a lot of eggs in the Spurs basket. City, you just never know who's going to bloody play. Salah's
Fulham
not.
are good.
Yeah, the Fulham are really. I've been so impressed with Fulham recently. Scott Parker has coached them so well. They're a real unit. I think they'll stay up. I'm only, and obviously Grealish is out again. Now,
You've still got him. Wow.
I know. I mean, I've kept it in being like, as long as he plays in 29, I don't mind. But we're getting very close now.
Yeah, you've really kind of stretched yourself there with him. I hope for
Yeah.
you, mate, he plays, because that's got to be. How long have you held him injured now? 4 game weeks?
Yeah, definitely. Because I have other players to come in, but it's getting a pain now. I think if you are like me and still hold him, I think you hold him and see what happens in 29. It's just, priorities elsewhere, I think. Now, the big worry I have, and I'm sure you'll be the same, is I have no Bruno Fernandes. Now, I hate this. I hate going into a game week without Bruno Fernandes. I was one of the ones that actually got him really early and got him really cheap. And I feel like an absolute idiot having sold him now. I mean, but you couldn't have. Could you have predicted that? I just didn't see United scoring. I honestly didn't. But what a performance that was from them.
Yeah, firstly, great performance for Man United. But I do think that when we look at that result, really, like when Fernandes, you look at his haul, if Fernandes scores, he gets bonus points. That's just kind of like what happens with him. He signs some sort of weird contract with the FPL headquarters to kind of like just make that an automatic kind of option. But when you actually look at it on the face of it, he just scored a penalty.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
I didn't
think he was very good, to be honest.
What's that?
I didn't think he played very well.
No, and this is exactly what I've been saying on Twitter. Is I think, of course, yeah, when you make a move like we did from Fernandes to Son, and you see Fernandes get a haul, it's kind of like, okay, we made a bad move. But when you actually take a step back and look at it, he scored a penalty. Like, he was playing the best team in the league defensively. Would you have made that move again? You would have, wouldn't you? You would have made that move again. So I think, although it looks like a bad move, I'm not as blown away by that performance from an individual perspective. And I think that West Ham are going to be real tough opposition. We're forgetting here, West Ham are arguably a top 4 side right now, the way they're playing in terms of form. So I don't see Fernandes getting heaps of joy against them. But because of his penalty potential, of course, he could get a 12-pointer easy.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. And we knew that, didn't we, when we sold it, that West Ham are really good and they're very good defensively. And I actually think that Declan Rice is a really, really good defensive midfielder and perhaps a little bit underrated. And I think his sole job will be to just mark Bruno Fernandes. Because if you stop him, you stop so much of their creativity and threat. And I think that's what they will plan to do. But, I mean, he is the best player in the game this year. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter who he's playing. You know he could do well. But that's the worry I have. I mean, the big question this game week is who to captain, right? I think this is one of the hardest game weeks we have. And I want to know from everyone in the chat, who are you captaining and why? Because it's really open this game week, so it could go to anyone. Now, at the moment, I've got it on Harry Kane. I've got it on Kane because, traditionally he does well against Arsenal. He's going to play. And I think he looks in good form. So he's a fairly reasonable option. I mean, we'll come on to your team in a moment. But what do you think about Kane for captain?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, really. I do think that he has such a good derby record that you kind of do lie or kind of reasoning behind it. And I think that's a solid pick. I do rate Arsenal defensively, though. I don't think they're as flaky as they have been in years gone by. I don't think they're necessarily watertight by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's going to be a tough game for Spurs. And of course, Harry Kane could haul there, but I just think Man City have such a high ceiling that I know Fulham have been playing well, but I do think that they have the potential to blow any team away. And I would be more tempted by Gundogan personally. But
Oh, he said personally, take your drinks, everyone, and have a little sip.
I was that the first time. That's not
I know,
bad.
you've lasted about 30 minutes. I can't believe
Half
it.
hour, and that's pretty good.
Jesus, God. I'm sober. What's going on?
But I do think Kane is a solid pick. I do think he's a solid pick, but I would probably just lean towards Man City assets.
Yeah. I do. But the thing is Gundogan going to play? He could come on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a great point.
Would you consider Cancelo, knowing that he's been benched in the last game?
Yeah, I would be tempted, but it really depends on whether he still gets deployed in that kind of offensive position against his Fulham side, because obviously their strengths come in their wide three with the likes of Lookman and that. So whether they have the confidence to really kind of bomb him forward, obviously they're going to dominate the game in possession. But yeah, I wouldn't be totally convinced to captain Cancelo. I think it's Gundogan or Kane in your side.
Yeah,
but I agree. I think if you're worried about minutes, then Kane is just an obvious pick if that is your worry.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Gundogan is the safe one. I'm completely torn, to be honest. I mean, Michael and Nuclear Atoms in the chat saying Bruno Fernandes. I think if you do have Bruno Fernandes, he probably is the safe captain option this week. He's probably the most likely to get something, isn't he? So I think I agree with you guys. If you have him, good option. AD is saying Calvert-Lewin because of Burnley more than him now. As an Everton fan, do you know what? I wouldn't trust Calvert-Lewin at the moment.
Yeah, you made a good point last week, didn't you?
I made a very good point. Thank you, Nacho. No, but I called it spot on, didn't I? I said he's not right at the moment. And the tactical change that Ancelotti has made with Richarlison moving up top, playing through the middle, and Calvert-Lewin just off him, has really hampered Calvert-Lewin. You've got to remember that all of Calvert-Lewin's goals come basically from 6 yards in the box. So if he's not in those positions, he's not going to get as many goals. Burnley, you never know what you're going to get from Burnley. They could do well. And I fancy a draw or Everton to sneak it maybe 2-1. So he's not a bad option because there's not many options this game week. So not a bad option. But, you know, as Sanjay said, do you fancy Burnley to get a clean sheet against Everton? It's not the craziest call, but Everton do usually score. I kind of see a 1-1, to be honest. So, yeah. You won't go Calvert-Lewin, would you?
Nah, Calvert-Lewin's lost that little bit of spark. I think I would probably I wouldn't be tempted to captain him or bring him in really. But yeah, obviously, guys, let us know in the chat who's going to be your captain this game. We can a lot talk about Kevin De Bruyne. I think if you do own Kevin De Bruyne, then yeah, after that performance, I'll be super tempted to put him as captain as well.
So I just had to interrupt you, Nacho, because there's a great comment from Nuclear Atoms which says, "What's your thoughts on Mahrez? For me personally, he might be a regular because Man City will focus on the Champions League." Hey, cheers, Nuclear.
I tell you what, I think I'm gonna get like a T-shirt with that on.
Well, you look like Nacho Monreal, and we'll just get that there, and that'll be the second page. But yeah, no, De Bruyne. Let's talk about Kevin De Bruyne then. Should we be ripping up our teams to getting Kevin De Bruyne?
I think it's so easy to think that way, but I really don't. I wouldn't rip my team up right now. I think if you're in a position where you've got loads of money in the bank, then of course, one of the best assets in the game. But right now, I see enough value in Gundogan to hold him. I wouldn't be selling Gundogan into Kevin De Bruyne. Put it that way. I think if you're in a luxury position where you can bring in Kevin De Bruyne and not worry about the blank game week 29, then yeah, okay, I think that's a good move. But I think you can wait until those who are wildcarding and then possibly bring him in with that side. But I wouldn't be ripping up teams to bring him in just yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's 1 for 31, De Bruyne. I think go double City midfield then. Mahrez, do you know what? Yes, Mahrez is doing well, but you just know as soon as you bring him in, he's going to be benched. And it's too unpredictable for me. You know, it's just too risky. I just don't like to play the game that way, personally.
Right. I'm telling you, by the end of this season, you're going to be saying it more than me.
God,
It's going to be one of those weird situations where I've got a big beard and you're got like this long slick back hair with me
Nacho,
personally.
if I had long, slicked back hair, I would be so happy. I wouldn't be on this bloody stream with you, that's for sure. Let's put it that way. All right, let's have a look how your teams get set up then. Go on, run us through it. How you looking?
Okay, yeah. So as you can see, I've currently got my captaincy on Gundogan, as I mentioned. I'm kind of tempted by him right now. I just think he's probably this. Well, I was going to say safer, but you've put me off now with the minutes. So yeah, let me know in the chat, guys, if you think Gundogan is going to be a bit of a minutes risk, because you put me off now, mate. So I'm going to I might hold you to that if I end up going towards bloody Kane.
So I've just got to stop you there. You won't believe what's happened, Nacho. Victor, the number one fan of the FPL fan show, is back. He said, just to say hello with a super chat. Lovely gents, time to put the kid to bed. Victor, we're still in awe about last week, so thank you so bloody much about that. We're incredibly touched, and make sure the kid gets to bed, well, for us at least. But no, thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's super generous, mate. I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, like you said, that's just so generous. So thank you very much.
I know, but yeah, so tell us how you're set up then, Nacho. You got starting Trent again?
Yeah, this guy, honestly, I just can't get rid of him. I literally cannot get rid of him. So he's going to stay another game week. As I mentioned, just for those who are watching, I'm going for a strategy of building a team for game week 29 and then wildcard in game week 31. So, and for people asking why you're not wildcard in game week 30, that's because the likes of Spurs, Villa, Leeds have great fixtures in game week 30, basically. So I'm currently targeting those sort of assets going forward, and that's why Trent's staying in this team right now, because I just don't have anybody I really want to be bringing in, although he's a bit of a cash cow in my team. So to talk about the kind of targets that I'm aiming for right now, I have similar eyes on Martinez. That would mean that I'm going for a double up in the Villa defence, but I do think it is justified with their fixture against Newcastle. My one worry is the bloke who sat on your bench currently injured is somebody I want to bring in if he is fit. So it really depends on potential fitness of Jack Grealish, because I know there's a lot of chat about him being out for this particular game week. But if I bring in Martinez this game week, then he is fit for the following game week. It blocks me out because I currently have triple Villa, and Grealish is somebody I definitely want to own. So yeah, just currently having to think right now on this team.
John is asking, are you considering Arsenal assets at all?
No, I don't think I am right now. Main reason being is because I don't really know where the value is in that team. So I'm kind of a bit of a spoiler. I'm aiming to bring in Bale, but not this game week, potentially the following game week. I don't think there's much value in Bale against Arsenal this week. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is I've got one free transfer with 2 million in the bank. So in order to afford Bale, it will have to be the sale of Salah. So really after that, maybe Saka for Gundogan, but I like Gundogan for this game week in particular. And then I don't want to be starting points hits in game week 29 really. So
Two things. So Nuclear Atoms says, when Prince gets long hair, he will be hanging around with the cool kids. Nuclear, I am one of the cool kids. Can we get that right? But he does also say, Nacho Monreal not backing his own team. Nacho, you're not backing your Arsenal team. What the hell's going on there?
Oh yeah, of course. I was totally out of character then. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And also, Ailey is asking, will you get rid of TAA on wildcard? I mean, we all want to know that. Are you going to get rid of Trent finally, Nacho?
Yeah, like honestly, guys, if I'm sat here with Trent in my wildcard team, then like you guys in the chat tell me what forfeit I need to do, because like that is just going to be an outrageous decision. And yeah, I'm ending all ties with Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's just been poor, haven't they? Been so bad.
I know.
But yeah, as I mentioned, for this particular game week, I'm probably looking actually funny enough to potentially roll. I want to bring in Bale, but that's going to be game week 29. There's a few I'm kind of targeting, maybe the Brighton defence, but I really just only want them for game week 29 again. So I don't really know who I'm going to sell. Maybe might just go the same move, mate, and bring in Martinez.
The interesting thing for me with 29 is I feel like who have I kind of got there? I think I want like a West Ham asset, and I probably want Lingard, but then I've got to get rid of one of the midfielders. So it's going to be really interesting next week to see who we get rid of, isn't it? Just saying, John says, with that beard, I definitely am with the cool kids. So thank you, John. What a top fan he is. Thank you.
It's fake.
All right, shall we? I think everyone's waited long enough. Obviously, if you're enjoying the stream, give it a like and make sure you're subscribed. And next, we're going to do a Q&A. So also, we got Victor said, Prince convinced me to push the wildcard back to 31 on Twitter. Makes sense when I have triple Spurs, Leeds and 2 Villa. Great fixtures in 30 for same teams. So that's exactly right. For anybody in that position, the reason why you wildcard in 31, not 30, is because if you have kind of triple Spurs, Leeds or Villa players, they have a really good game week 30 fixture. And then 31, the fixtures swing. And obviously in the next couple of streams, we'll look at, who the teams to target. But just right now, I'd look at like Wolves, Leicester, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea. Those are the teams that have good fixtures from 31 onwards. So that's who I'd look at.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Nacho. So shall we do a Q&A? So if you just all send in your questions and we will answer as many as we can. It can be whatever you want about your FPL team. Life just far away.
We got an interesting one from Michael, and I think we're both in the same situation, asking, well, basically Rafinha over Bamford, so kind of like reasoning behind that sort of decision. And for me, I think Rafinha is probably the better pick, just based on form, really. I think Bamford's not going to get too much change against this Chelsea defence. I'm not expecting either to really do too well, and I just think the way Rafinha's playing right now, he's offering so much value and he just looks a top player, and I'm excited by him, watching him, so I'm kind of just playing him on that basis, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think of Rafinha and Bamford, I would play Rafinha. I think also the little point that you get an extra point for a goal, he's on set pieces.
Yeah,
I think he's the better form player at the moment, so yeah, I'd go Rafinha. Okay, so we've got so Rod is saying Bamford is too highly. Yeah, Bamford is very highly owned actually. So if Rafinha does well, he's going to do better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Victor asking best captain for game week 29. That's interesting. Game week 29. So who's the fixtures? Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, so obviously Arsenal have got a tricky away fixture against West Ham, so I don't really think there's any assets in there. You're going to be kind of pulled towards. Villa have of course got Tottenham. Brighton at home to Newcastle. Like, really, you're going to put a captaincy on Dunk? I don't really know if that's the best option. I think the best fixture, really looking at it, is probably Spurs against Villa. But really,
it's not that great, is it?
A decent defensive team, so we're kind of banking on a goal fest there, really, and Spurs kind of blowing them away. I think Kane's probably going to be the most captain that game week.
I agree.
Maybe some rogue picks on maybe I don't even know. I'm looking at these fixtures right now and I just don't see any assets that would justify any rogue picks. Maybe an Aubameyang captaincy, but I think Kane is probably the safest pick in that game week for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harry Kane's probably the safest pick. He usually gets something, doesn't he? Yeah. So, no, I think Kane is definitely a good shout. Sanjay is asking, any reason why managers still trust Salah but don't trust Bruno, whereas Salah has been blanking more recently? It's a good point, actually. Why do we trust Salah more than Bruno?
Yeah, I think in my decision making, why I sold Fernandes over Salah, it was just fixture based, really. Fernandes had Man City and then Wolves, whereas Salah on paper had better fixtures, so I kind of just went for that justification, really.
We have another super chat from the FPL fan show's number one fan and hero, Victor. Best news of the night and season. He said, I just realised that the lovely wife can put Alex to bed and I stick with the guys. Beers on, Victor. Beers on. Thank you very much. That's very good. Definitely. Everyone's got to save the stream, have a good time. And we're just going to talk FPL football and have a nice time. No, thank you, Victor. You're an absolute legend. We need to get him on the show or meet you in person at some point, definitely.
Yes, yeah, for sure, for sure. It'd be good. Like I said, when COVID kind of actually allows us to do anything, an FPL meetup has to be on the cards. So if you guys would be interested in that, let us know in the chat, because that is something we would definitely be keen to do in the future for sure. Definitely.
And obviously when we're back in the studio next year, we'll see if we get t-shirts made. We'll see if we can send you something at some point as a thank you. So thank you very much. So let's get through some more questions. So Nuclear Atom says, should I start Rudiger instead of Bamford? Do you know what? I think I would start Rudiger instead of Bamford, weirdly. Would you?
Yeah. I think so as well. Well, I don't know actually. Now thinking about it, I always like the attacking options. I understand the worry about Rudiger getting rotated, but I think that was just more like a rest rather than a based on his actual performances of late. So, yeah, I would probably back the Chelsea defense and go for Rudiger. I don't see Bamford getting loads of change out of our defense right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Michael asks, is Veltman the best Brighton defensive pick? Now, Brighton are someone we should be considering because obviously they've got a 29 fixture, but it's a thing with Veltman. I think he is the best Brighton pick purely on the value because he's so cheap and he's been doing well, isn't he? I think he's in the fullback position, so there's some attacking potential there. But Brighton, I don't know. I don't trust them enough. I don't think I would go there. I know they've got okay fixtures, but they're in trouble. You know, the confidence is gone. He is the best Brighton defensive pick, yes, but not sure I'd go there personally.
Yeah, I think for a 1 week punt in game week 29, solid pick. I think they've probably got one of the best defensive fixtures, but Brighton, man, like post some really good stats, but just do not deliver on the actual pitch. So yeah, I think if you have 2 free transfers and you're looking for a cheap defender, then you can't go too far wrong with Veltman in game week 29.
Okay, so Magic Spitfire says the easiest way I can get Bale in is to sell either KDB or Bruno. Good idea. And do I get Bale in this game week or wait till game week 29?
No.
No. You can't sell either of those. No.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't sell either. I think the only way I would sell them is if I had a wild card that was able to play after the blank game week, and I wouldn't even make that move until game week 29 because I fancy KDB against Fulham and Bruno against West Ham way more than Bale. So, yeah, although Bale is really an attractive option right now, being a differential, being the price he is, I think unless you have a wild card, I would hold both of them, and those two could be season holders now for the rest of the year.
Great comment from our man Victor. He says about doing the meetup, and we are going to do a meetup, everyone, definitely. He says, you choose the place, open bar. He's sure he can cover it with some money, saved from COVID, keeping us away on match days. Prince, did I mention we have a corporate area at Anfield? Your dream. Imagine me at Anfield in the corporate area. Do you know what? I wouldn't usually, but Victor, for you, I would come along, have a couple of beers, have a great time, and we'd have a good time. To be fair, a lot of my family are Liverpool fans, so I would still love that. You know, I'd keep the Everton bit very quiet. Don't worry. I got to make it out of Anfield alive. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I think we'll just get you a single train journey up there.
Won't be coming back. But yeah, everyone keep sending in your questions in. There's some really great questions here, and we'll answer as many as we can. Do you want to read some out, Nacho?
Yeah, I was going to say, is an interesting one from Rod Rev has asked, do we know anything about where the unplayed matches will be put for teams as Spurs and Villa, etc.? Keep up the great work. So we appreciate that. Because, thanks for just tuning in. I don't know whether it's been made official. I think game week 32, if I'm right, thinking that is where they're possibly putting it in game week 33. Either way, what I do think is if you have a triple captain, hold until Spurs get this one confirmed, because I think a triple captain on Harry Kane could be a really good option going forward. But no, I don't think there's any official confirmation of when that game's being put in, but I believe it's around the 32-33 sort of area.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's meant to be in the next few weeks, so it shouldn't be too far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to read a few more out, Nacho?
Yeah, there's one from Sanjay again. Just asked, going to bring Maja?
Yeah,
Maja. I know it's from Fulham, but is it Maja in game week 29? Good move.
Don't give him another one, Nacho. I mean, you said Regulian like a bloody pasta, and now you're saying what, Major instead of Maja? Jesus God. How did I end up with you? No,
let's go Maja.
Yeah, Maja. No, Maja has actually done really well. Now, very famous from the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, but he's a player and he suits that Fulham side. I think he's done quite well. If you're looking for a kind of differential, Sanjay, I think he's a reasonable option, especially, knowing that they play Leeds. So yeah, I quite like the Maja shout. Go for it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it seems a bit of a luxury move, and if you're looking for a differential, then yeah, I think he's a solid pick. but don't expect him to be like tearing up trees. He's not going to be scoring hat tricks or kind of going out his way. But he's a decent pick for game week 29, considering they have a Leeds team who are struggling to keep clean sheets.
So you were saying apparently Kane just scored in Europa. I mean, I think you're right about Kane in the triple captainship, because Kane, he'll score in most games. So you're going to at least get one goal. So I think if you've still got the triple captainship, I think he is a really good shout.
Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think when people look at triple captaincy, it's such an overhyped chip. You just need a player who's going to be playing 180 minutes over those two fixtures, and has set piece potential and obviously a goal scorer. And Kane kind of ticks one of them boxes, really.
Nuclear Atom said, if I start Veltman instead of DCL, it will be 5-4-1 formation. Should I play it? I think I played DCL over Veltman
For this game week?
I believe so. Yeah, I think I played DCL.
Yeah, I would play DCL as well for sure over Veltman this game week.
Yeah,
I think that's a solid move.
Definitely.
We got one again from Victor's as I'm struggling to replace Alonso with a defender for game week 29. Alonso was a good option for a long run, but we know he will get rotated. Same with City, you lose your transfers playing catch up on Pep. So what's the best pick for a defender to replace him?
I mean, I think if you own, it depends on your strategy, guys. If you own Alonso and have kind of got enough players for 29, I'd keep Alonso because I still think he can do pretty well. So it won't be in too much of a rush to get him. But if you're struggling for players for game week 29, okay, who are the best defender picks do we think, Nacho? So I think you're right. I think an Aston Villa defender, maybe Target's a really good option. I think if you're looking at Spurs, Reguilon, I think is a good option. Maybe an Arsenal defender, someone like Tierney perhaps. Yeah. Is there any others you can kind of think of for 29?
Yeah, I agree. Again, I think Victor, it depends on your strategy. I think if you're not wildcarding, then you have to look beyond game week 29, and Chelsea's fixtures after game week 29 are really solid. Again, though, rotation with Alonso is a possibility there. So just be wary of that. But I think if you haven't got the wild card, I think he's worth a hold longer term and just kind of see what happens with those minutes. But I agree. If you are looking for a player, particular for game week 29 defensively, I think in particular for game week 29, I wouldn't be targeting a Leeds asset, but I think they're good for game week 30. If you're looking for cheap, I think, again, we mentioned about the Brighton defenders as a 1 week punt, but yeah, I think longer term, you can't go too far wrong with Villa defenders.
I think Victor is playing his wildcard in 31, I believe. So yeah, I think you're right. If you're looking for someone in the short term, I think the options we spoke about, they all should do something, shouldn't they? John is asking Pope or Martinez. Martinez, John, definitely. Honestly, I've had the pain of owning Pope recently, and just go Martinez. I think it is a much safer option.
Yeah, I think Pope will get some returns, but Burnley are in a bit of a relegation battle. Well, they're not obviously in the same position as Aston Villa right now. Martinez is showing that save points galore. So I think even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet, he's getting you a 4-point return. So
I don't quite know how to pronounce this next one, but I'm going to give it a go. Hendy Pentfi Prump Millie. I mean, that is the worst pronunciation you're ever going to hear. I'm so sorry I've butchered that name. He said the best goalkeeper for the rest of the season. Pope? Right, best goalkeeper for the rest of the season. Okay, wow. Martinez. Okay, Villa have difficult fixtures for the run-in, so maybe Martinez isn't the best goalkeeper for the run-in. Mendy, Chelsea?
Yeah. I was just about to say, I think Mendy is probably your best pick going forward. I think you want guaranteed minutes in this Chelsea team. I think you can't go too far wrong with Mendy. So yeah, there's a few people in the chat saying Mendy is a solid pick, and I have to agree that I think he isn't too overpriced. It'd be crazy if Tuchel plays Kepa as well. So I think Mendy's probably your best pick.
I mean, some of the names are just unbelievable. There's Blair says Patricio is looking very promising for the rest of the season. Their fixture 10 is amazing. I do agree with that. I think
wildcard.
Yeah, Wolves' defense actually is a good one for the run-in. I think Conor Cody is, as a defender, is one to look at. Looking really attacking, a lot of head on balls, but yeah, I think
he's actually getting forward.
Yeah, yes, yeah. But Patricio's a nice shout. I like that one.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. It fits really well with the game week 31 wildcard. So yeah, that's a solid move.
Haas is saying, what about Konza for the Villa defence? Yeah, it's unlucky. He hit the post, didn't he? I think Konza's a nice defensive pick. Sanjay asking, is it time to unload City defenders considering that they have only one clean sheet in the last 6 games? I think I know, that's mad, isn't it, when you put it like that? One clean sheet in the last 6 games for City. That is crazy. I think it is, actually. I think you go with just one. If you can get Diaz or maybe Edison, have them. But I'm a Cancelo and Stones owner, like I said earlier, and it's too annoying now. They're missing every other game. That's too much.
Yeah,
You know?
I totally agree. I think the Europa League, they're going to be putting a real emphasis on that Champions League, and I think we cannot predict who is going to. I think Diaz will play the majority, but Stones, Laporte will rotate. I think quite regularly now. I think Cancelo will rotate with Zinchenko, so I think probably a Diaz or an Edison, and then the investment in probably Gundogan and KDB is probably your best and probably most safe and secure options.
45 people watching the chat. Thank you very much. Don't forget to give us a like if you're enjoying it already. Keep your questions coming in. We'll answer as many of them as we can.
Yeah, we got one from Addy that's asked Leno at Arsenal as the best keeper option. Yeah, I don't mind that. I think Arsenal are good defensively. I'm not sure what you think, Prince.
Yeah, I don't mind Arsenal, but they're a little bit hit and miss. And I think there's maybe better goalkeepers out there. But Arsenal defence is a good shout, I would say. Nuclear Atoms asking, if the plan is to play the wildcard in 31, then who will be a great 1 week punt for game week 30?
Yeah,
it's tough on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the assets that have got really good fixtures, you're going to be owning in game week 29 anyway. So that goes for the Spurs assets and, of course, the Aston Villa assets. But if you're looking for a real 1 week punt, I think Chelsea assets are probably the one. You have to sneeze. Apologies.
I think Chelsea assets for this game week are really. Is it this game week Chelsea play Leeds, isn't it?
Yeah, and then West Brom at home in game week 30.
Yeah. As in, I think 30 Chelsea. You're right. Do you know what? I'd go for a Mason Mount or maybe even a Timo Werner or Alonso. Yeah. I think I'd go Mason Mount. I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably your best pick. I think. Thank you, Sooty. Bless you. Thank you very much. But yeah, I do.
They're being very nice to you tonight, Nacho, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm getting along well today. So good.
Can the chat please give Nacho more crap, please? Thank you. And they still haven't seen the bloody puppy, so I don't know what you're doing about that. But anyway.
Yeah, we need to go get that.
Okay, so Phil Russell asked, what are you planning to do with Watkins? Oh, do you know what? Watkins has been so frustrating. Yeah. Oh, my God. Like, every week, I swear he hits the bar. You know.
He's been torturous. I think he done well at the start of the season. Well, decent. And I remember watching people kind of haul. And then I remember everyone in the chat saying, oh my God, he was so close. And I kept saying to people, don't worry, he's going to haul. I bring him in. I don't think I've had a goal yet.
I know.
Probably one of the most frustrating players I've owned in FPL memory. Honestly, like so much potential and just under-delivering every game week. And I really don't expect much from him in the next two. But if you own him, you hold him for game week 29.
It's one of them, isn't it? If they didn't have a 29, I think I would have sold Watkins because I've just had enough now. But he's still attacking. He's getting chances. So that's the main thing. So I think he's a hold for now. By 31, I'll be getting rid.
Yeah, I think we got a few here. We got John's asked, how about James? So I'm not sure if that's Reece James or.
I think must be Reece James. I mean, a few people asking. Jonas asking about Chelsea defenders as well, and Rudiger. But we touched on this earlier, didn't we? I think Rudiger's a really good option. I think if you're going to go for a Chelsea player, because he's only 4.6 million, it doesn't matter if he gets rested in, say, 1 out of 6 or 7 games. I think that's really good value. So yeah, I think Rudiger's the best one.
Yeah, bloody Addy's put Watkins hits the bar more than Gaza did.
That's true.
I'm stealing that one. That one.
Victor, our hero and saviour, and the only person that's keeping us going, unbelievably, has given an amazing super chat and said, #1 fan. You are, without doubt, our #1 fan. And we're incredibly proud to have you as our #1 fan, Victor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, mate, I too much. Thank you very much.
I'll see you at Anfield, Victor, and we'll have a few beers. I never thought I'd say those words, but I'm full on up for it.
I get the impression Victor's a fun guy. I'm looking forward to having a drink.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to do an FPL meetup, definitely. Okay, so let's do some more questions. Okay, who have we got? So, Nuclear said, will Alonso just play in the easier fixtures? Oh, I think we need to just wait and see on Alonso. I don't think it's too early, isn't it? What do you think, Nacho? You're the Chelsea man.
Yeah, I think it's such a luxury move to bring him in. I really do think at the back end of the season, if you're looking to climb ranks, you want to be bringing in a player that you know is going to be featuring because he's still a decent amount of your money going into an asset like that, who we've seen Chilwell come in for the tougher games. So yeah, I think although Alonso was a luxury move and could easily play against West Brom at home, could play against Brighton at home, I think just in the back of your mind, you're probably going to have a bit too much worry about that move. So I would probably hold off on Alonso, but don't be surprised if you switch on the TV and see him score and get an assist. But I just think, for me, it's a bit too much of a risk.
House is asking, he says, I have 5 players to play in game week 29 plus 3 free transfers to be, so we can get 8 players. Is it good to save my free hit? I think if you can get 8 players, I would save the free hit. I think if you're at that point, it's worth saying. Yona is asking, is Gundo to Mahrez 2 sideways? Definitely. Two sideways for me. The thing is, you do Gundogan to Mahrez and then Mahrez gets benched. I think Gundogan is giving enough not to sell him. So yeah, I wouldn't do that move.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Mahrez has got the higher FPL ceiling, but it's not a justified move. It's 2 sideways. I agree.
Sanjay is asking a question, and probably a lot of us are thinking that, we've had Bamford for a long time. Do we ever think about selling him? Really interesting question, this one, because you think with Leeds, because they're doing so well, he's just a keep. But I don't know. Do we think about selling Bamford for the run-in?
Selling Bamford? Yeah, he's proved to be such a good asset at his price point. I think he's been really quite a surprising one, really. I didn't think he actually could step up, but I think the way that Leeds play kind of really tailors towards him and kind of being at the focal point at the end of all the attacks. I think he's a solid hold. I think I'm looking at Leeds fixtures right now going forward, and Fulham away, Sheffield United at home, and then they come into 3 really tough fixtures. But I think when you have value tied up in a player like this and he's still doing okay, I don't think he's a desperate sell right now, especially with game week 29.
So Rodrev, let's rinse through these. Okay, Rodrev is saying, by game week 31, get rid of Watkins, even with a double game week. I mean, it's true if he does have a double game week, but I just don't know if we're saying enough. I mean, do you know what? If Grealish is back, different conversation, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely taken away from his kind of output right now. And I think you kind of want to take emotion aside, but if you've owned Watkins for the last probably 5 game weeks, you're in that kind of itchy phase where you just want to sell him. I'm not saying that's a good FPL tactic. I'm just saying, like, when you don't get a player who's starting to deliver, you want to enjoy owning certain players. And if you're not seeing that kind of potential, then I think it's time to move on.
It's an interesting... Go on.
Sorry, you go, mate. You go.
I was going to say, interesting one from Eric. Salah and DCL or go to Mountain Kane. Oh, do you know what? I think I might do that.
I'll do it because you get Kane for game week 29, whereas you wouldn't have had a player for game week 29. So I think that's a solid move.
Yeah.
We said before that I think Kane is probably the best player to own for the back end of this season. So I think that's a solid. I hate point sits, absolutely hate them, but I think that is justified in some way for that blank game week 29.
Do you want to read some out, Nacho?
Yeah, I was going to say we got a quick one about outside of FPL. Which 2 teams do we think with West Brom will get relegated?
Okay, so let's go through the options then. So West Brom come at the bottom. All right, let's tackle the Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton scenario. You've got to say at the moment that Fulham stay up. I think Parker's got them playing so well. They look like a team. They're gelling well. Yeah. They've got good players. Loftus-Cheek, Lookman. That Anderson in defence is a really good player, actually. Really solid defender. I can't believe he's on loan. I think a lot of players will be in for him. So I think Fulham will stay up. Do you know what? Go on. What do you think?
No, I think Fulham, the only problem with Fulham, they got a tricky run. Yeah. Just looking at it now, they've got Leeds at home, Villa away, Wolves at home, Arsenal away, Chelsea away. So I think Parker's doing an absolutely unbelievable job and should definitely get all the credit in the world to keep them up. But I think they might just have a bit too tricky fixtures to stay up. They need to win that Leeds at home fixture. They have to win that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Who's the other team at the bottom? Who have we got? This West Brom. Oh, Sheffield United obviously down. So
yeah, I think they might go down.
Yeah, it'll be Sheffield United, West Brom, and then I'm gonna say Newcastle. But they should get out of it. But I know Fulham have a difficult run, but they look good. You know, and they're really nice for Newcastle. I'm going to say Newcastle, but it's likely to be Fulham. I'm saying Newcastle. Okay. Do you want to read a few more out, Nacho?
Yeah, what do we have? Salah to Aubameyang or hold for this game week?
I'd say hold, I think.
I'll probably hold for this game week and then possibly do a 1 week punt into an Arsenal asset, but I think that's worth a hold there. What else we got?
So Victor said, do not touch Salah. We're all talking about how out of form he is, but you know this. As soon as you sell him, he gets 2 or 3 goals. He is top scorer still. You are right, Victor, because we've had this season after season. Do you remember a season or 2 ago? I think I sold Salah, and as soon as I sold him, he scored about 3 goals versus Bournemouth, and it just killed my season. You know, the guy has the track record. He's still going to score goals. I think it's Liverpool as a whole is a little bit tricky at the moment, but yeah, he's not an immediate sell for me because he'll still do okay, won't he? He's still going to score a few. Yeah,
I think that's it. I think it's just a bit hard to look at that price point right now, but yeah, I think it's a hold for now, and then you reassess if you're wildcarding.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy Z says worth playing McCarthy ahead of Pope, or is it over for Big McCarthy? I think it is over for McCarthy. It seems like Forster's got the spot at the moment, so I think you just go Pope.
Yeah, I agree. I think the risk is too much there for McCarthy.
A big, very important point here from Zaki Nacho. He says, sorry, lads, I just came back. Have we seen Nacho's puppy? Nacho, where's the bloody puppy?
Oh, right. Okay, hang on. Give me 2 seconds. I imagine we'll be rounding this up now. So let me go. Give me 2 seconds.
Nacho's going to get the puppy. I'll answer some more questions. Blair says, what a name. I have KDB right now. Would it be nice to sell him for Bale in Game Week 29 and then sell him to get KDB back in Game Week 31 when KDB faces Leeds? Depends on your team, really. I mean, if you have enough players for 29, do that move. But I think I probably wouldn't move KDB out now. I think there's other areas. Right, everyone. Nacho is meant to be getting the puppy. Finally revealing. Forget the team reveal. It's all about the puppy reveal. He's been going on about this puppy every bloody day. I'm looking after puppy. I can't sleep. You would not believe it. So it better be bloody good. Let's just check what other questions we got. Oh, everyone's excited. Yeah, send in the puppy comment. Yeah, I'll make sure he doesn't sneeze on the bloody puppy. That's the last thing we need. And everyone, let us know what you think of Nacho's puppy. It better be good after all this. That's all I can say. He's probably lost the bloody thing. That's why it's taken so long. See what else we got. Victor saying, OLCO back and that Liverpool defence from Game Week 31 and Jota. I do think Jota is going to help massively. I really do. Oh, there's the puppy, Nacho. Hold it up. Oh, look! Oh, that is so. Right. That is quite cute, actually. To be fair, I mean, it looks very dark, but it is lovely. Oh, everyone, what do we think of the puppy?
Can I just say that I had to wake her up here. So if she is all of it, to be fair, she looks like a silhouette, really, doesn't she? She doesn't really look like the puppy, but yeah, we're gonna get her howling later. So, you know, guys, this is for you. But I'm gonna have a sleepless night now.
Do you know what, everyone? I'm so proud of you because you're going to give Nacho a sleepless night. And more than anything, that is what makes me really happy. And the puppy is lovely. What's the puppy's name, Nacho?
Winnie.
Winnie.
Oh,
very sweet. Oh, yeah, did everyone hear that?
I'll go drop her back.
Thank you, Nacho. It's very kind of you. Everyone, what did you think of the puppy? Do you know what? That puppy spoke more sense than Nacho has in this whole bloody year. I might have to get the puppy back, I think. Everyone loves the puppy. Matches the colour of Nacho's shirt. Perfect match, you're right. It really does. So lovely, Victor. Michael, adorable. I personally think she's great. AD. Zaki, cute. I'm glad it was worth the wait, Zaki. Oh, Nacho, they're loving the puppy. Do you know what? That puppy spoke more sense than you have this past season. So, Ant saying triple captain Winnie for Game Week 28. Do you know what? At this rate, I think that's a good option.
I'll tell you what, I think she nearly made me miss one of the deadlines when she first turned up, and we got off to a bad foot. But yeah, she's adorable, so I can't get mad at her.
Zaki said even that puppy would have sold Trent in Game Week 10. And then Nuclear Atom says, for me personally, the voice was adorable. Oh, this is fantastic. You're getting rinsed even about the puppy. It's just brilliant.
Oh, no.
Blair says Woody is going in my team. Oh, well, you've made the chat very happy, Nacho, so thank you for that.
Down, right.
You're going to get killed from your missus for waking the dog up, so that's even better.
Honestly, yeah.
You're in the doghouse tonight. Forget about Winnie.
Yeah. In the garden.
All right, so should we wrap up there, mate?
Yeah, I think we have covered most of the questions. And as always, guys, we do have Twitter, Instagram. Obviously, you can hit us up on there, any DMs or questions, and we'll try and get to them last minute if we have missed any.
And as always, so hoping to be back in the studio next season. So hopefully we get back to the fancy, 4K and all looking good. But we're really enjoying this for now. I'm doing it from home. Thank you for all your amazing comments and watching. And don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help us. Thanks for all the lovely comments. And yeah, any final words, Nacho?
No, just going to try and wear out the puppy now because she's going to be waiting for 5 hours. Thanks, guys. No, I'm kidding.
I'm so glad. That's going to give you crap, isn't it? They're also Winnie should get her own segment in future episodes. I definitely can consider that, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout.
Just very quickly, if it's said about DCL, I can't convince myself to keep him. I do think Calvert-Lewin is a sell, being honest, so hopefully that helps. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the lovely comments. Give us a comment message. We'll see you all soon. We'll be back next week, and enjoyed it as ever. Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.
We'll see you next time.